Hello and welcome to At the Redline podcast. My name's Alec Gonzalez with Coaching the Redline. This is Joe Ader. We'll talk a little
Ader.
Ader.
Yeah, you want to start over?
Joe Ader. No, this is going to be good content. Joe Ader. Joe leads a nonprofit here in Spokane, but we'll get to that a little later. Always like to start at the beginning.
Sure.
Sort of childhood. Where were you raised? Where were you born? Family of origin, siblings, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I was born in an Amish community in northern
Oh,
Indiana,
that's cool.
but raised in Southern California in Orange County.
Talk about
So
two polar opposites.
two
Right?
very different places. Had brother and sister. Really grew up pretty feral. I'm Gen X. Both parents
How
worked.
old are you? You're
You
a
know,
mystery to
50.
me.
So
You're straight up 50.
straight up 50.
Okay.
Yeah. So thanks. I'll take that. Very feral childhood, very violent childhood, honestly.
Oh, really?
I had an older brother who was 6 years older, very violent to me, both physically, sexually. So there was a lot of stuff that was involved in that. So I grew up kind of angry, honestly.
Oh, okay.
And that's what my childhood was like. I was the kid that sat in the back of the class, really didn't talk much, got into fights at recess.
Okay. That was back when you could fight.
Oh yeah. and we fought.
That was part of the deal.
We fought. And then, middle school was an interesting time, really started, some significant changes started in my life around that time. I was invited to a youth group by a pretty girl.
Oh,
And so
happens a lot.
I went for
We called it missionary dating back in the day.
Yeah, I went for the pretty girl. I did not go for God in any way.
Yeah.
But after that youth group, it was a Wednesday night deal. The youth pastor was like, "Hey, we're going to camp next week.
Oh, cool.
Spring break. Do you want to come to camp with us?" So I was like, "Sure, I'll go to camp." And so
Week long or 3 days or
3 days or whatever it was.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, it was Saturday, so 5 days, Saturday
Okay.
through Wednesday. So I showed up on Saturday with my backpack and a sleeping bag and got into a van with 12 other kids. And we started driving. And in Southern California, the mountains are to the east, the beaches to the west, but we're driving north.
Okay.
And I'm like, where are we going? Well, it turns out camp was in an hourly motel in inner city Los Angeles where we were staying with prostitutes and their kids for the week. So not what I was expecting for church camp. And we're there, and the second or third night we're there, 2:00 in the morning, there's a knock on our door, and we're on the third floor of a 5-story brick building.
Mm-hmm.
Me and another 13, 14-year-old kid are in this room. And then the youth pastor and the rest of the kids are down the hall in a different space. And so this pounding happens on our door.
Like cop knock or?
No, like somebody wanting to get in.
Okay.
And so we're like, who is it? And then this voice comes, "Come on, baby, let me in." And so this man's drunk. He's trying to get in the room, and he's getting angrier and angrier as we're like, "You have the wrong room." And so he starts pounding on the door and then starts kicking it.
Oh.
And like kicking it so hard, and I don't know if you've ever seen a door do this, but where it was bending and you could see his kind of shoe come in, it was kind of bending on the hinges.
No, I never saw that.
So we pushed the only thing in this room is 2 wireframe beds. This is before cell phones. So it's just us in these 2 beds. This is it. So we pushed those up against the door, and we're like huddled in the corner praying, God, do something here. Because if this guy comes through the door, I mean, there's no protection, right?
Yeah.
At this time, I'm 5'2", I weigh 86 pounds. So
86 pounds. Yeah.
Anyhow, a voice comes from down the hall. I would say it's the voice of an angel, but I'm not sure angels are allowed to use those words. But it was somebody else that lived in the building who came out their apartment and said, "Hey, what the are you doing here? You're on the wrong floor. Get out of here." And that was enough to make the guy go away. And so anyhow, he left. We got the beds back and kind of stayed awake all night long, just kind of thinking, You know,
Adrenaline.
yeah. In at that place we had breakfast with the kids that lived in the building. Like that's part of the mission program that they had there. And
Uh-huh.
so the next morning we're excited. We go down and tell the kids in the building what happened. We're telling them the story, really into it, and their expressions were blank,
What?
just nothing. And they were like, "So?"
Oh, these are the kids in the building.
Yeah, because to them,
This is normal.
that's normal. That's every day. That could have been one of their dads. To me, it was like,
Right.
what such a big experience. And so I spent the rest of the time that week kind of just hanging out with kids, watching them. And they were, I mean, my same age, but their lives were just so different, and they were racing shopping carts with kids in them down the hill into LA traffic. I mean, it was just,
Bedlam.
yeah. And so that became a point to where I wanted to try to understand what's the difference here. Like,
Uh-huh.
try to understand poverty. So went back to Orange County, started looking for books on
How
poverty.
old were you?
14.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So that was a turning point for me. Is I wanted to understand poverty, so I started trying to research.
At 14, you wanted to understand poverty?
Yeah, and it
Wow.
there wasn't a whole lot in Orange County libraries written about poverty.
Yeah.
At the time, this is pre-internet, so
Right.
but not too long after that, Rodney King happened, and then a lot was being written, newspapers,
Uh-huh.
everything, and a lot was going on in our community at that time. So,
Mm.
um, so that was one part of my journey. But the other part was, and this is where faith comes in. I was invited back to that same church, probably like 6 months later. Same
Mm.
girl,
No kidding.
went for the same reasons.
Yeah.
um, but the youth pastor was no longer there. I'm not sure why. Maybe he didn't have permission to take middle schoolers to a hourly motel in inner city Los Angeles. I'm just assuming. But anyhow, he was no longer there, and there was a dad filling in. Great big mountain of a man named Steve Rutenbar, and he shared the gospel with me for the first time that I can remember actually like hearing it,
Really?
where it resonated, and I had a heart change.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And so from that point forward, my faith journey and this journey into trying to understand poverty
Uh-huh.
has coincided. And every time I've tried to pull one of those apart and do
Uh-huh.
something else, they come slamming back together.
Wow. You know, there's a really good book called Understanding Poverty by a woman who's a teacher in Texas. I don't know if you ever read that book, but
I used to teach for her. Yeah.
yeah.
Framework for Understanding Poverty, Ruby
Yeah.
Payne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing book that was a big part of our church ministry in West Central, and mind-blowing the way people look at money and friends and
Yeah.
resources and stuff from different, from wealthy and middle class to poor. It blew my mind. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, the people care about how food looks. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand. What are you talking about? I mean, I get it. Like, it makes sense to me. Like, you really care? Like, I don't get it. But it was super helpful in planting the church.
So, anyhow, long winding road. We'll talk more about that, but to get to here, but that was childhood for me.
Wow.
Really started shifting from being that quiet kid in the back of the class to an extrovert.
Yeah.
Which to this day, people that knew me as a kid can't believe that. Wait, you speak to hundreds of people, sometimes thousands from stage? I don't think I heard you talk for 3 years.
That's funny.
And so, yeah.
Okay. One of the things I like to do on the podcast is make room for how hardship and trouble, difficulty, and even trauma has turned into something that we, I don't know, celebrate, such a bad word for that. But looking back, we maybe wouldn't change course.
Sure.
Because it's created something within us, grit, determination, passion. It is interesting to me. We planted a church in West Central Spokane,
Okay.
And I don't know if you know Spokane well. Obviously, you probably do. That it's a really troubled neighborhood.
Yes.
Um, and it never made sense to me why I would be called by God to this neighborhood, except that when I got saved in a downtown Seattle church.
Okay.
And we called them hobos back in the day when we were a
Okay.
kid growing up. There were homeless people and winos and hobos everywhere. It was just part of our church experience, but it wasn't
Mhm.
part of my experience. I lived in Ballard in Seattle. I lived in just a real middle class life.
Uh-huh.
But my church that I grew up in was really interested in caring about lost souls who were winos and hobos, and Skid Row was literally blocks from our church. So we'd
Okay.
go down to, you know, the street
Yeah.
and we'd bring people back to church. So when I did church, it was like, well, it kind of makes sense. So, and it's funny how there's this connection to our faith and how we came to Christ and the church that we went to and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Christ talks about the least of these, but that
Yeah.
that Matthew 25 passage, which a lot of pastors avoid because it doesn't fit nicely into our theological
Well,
frameworks.
middle class America. I mean, it doesn't middle class.
It is talking about the sheep and the goats
Yeah.
and how we will be separated and what does that look like, and it's based off of the evidence of how you cared for the least of these,
Yeah.
and that is pretty significant in this whole journey, and I think it gets missed by by the American church quite a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. My
Yeah.
question about trouble and difficulty, is there something that you'd point out as trauma or difficulty, trouble?
Sure. Sure. Well, I mentioned already, I had a very violent childhood, and that took a long period of working through, processing through that, coming to a point of forgiveness, which was pretty significant and really an amazing moment. But now that's part of my story that informs the work that I do.
Yeah.
And I'm at a point in my journey where I'm okay with sharing it.
Yeah.
Uh, and it opens doorways to conversations with
Yeah.
others. I share it with folks in our shelter sometimes, and I'll never forget I had shared it I years ago, and then 2 or 3 years later, one of the families that we had in the shelter, we got him rehoused. We had become friends, and he was over helping me put up Christmas lights. So it's November, we're on my roof and putting up Christmas lights, and then he said, "Hey, um, I want to talk to you about something. How do you forgive? Because I don't think I can forgive my dad." And he starts crying, and we're sitting on the roof of my house. And this guy's a pretty, tough guy, not the one that you would expect to,
Uh-huh.
break down in tears, but um and so it opened up a doorway to a really deep conversation
Yeah.
about that. And so that has informed my life. A lot of the families that we deal with, 55% of the families that we experience have experienced in domestic violence, and often that is a reason that they end up showing up at a shelter,
Yeah.
particularly the ones that show up on Friday and Saturday nights. Those nights tend to be, you know, there's stuff going on, alcohol involved, and they need a safe place to go quickly.
Yeah.
And so we see, often a mom with kids show up um, that was experiencing that situation. So that gives me a little bit of an ability to connect with people
Yeah.
on a different level than, hey, we're just here to provide a
Yeah.
service or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm a coach. I do coaching and
Okay.
spiritual direction. Many people that I have on the podcast have never had, like a legitimate life coach. They've had they've had older people in their lives, or they've had mentors that sort of cared about them. I wonder if there's a story of someone in your life that paid attention, noticed you, and was intentional about, you
Yeah.
know, helping you along the road.
The one that comes to mind actually was from childhood. I struggled with dyslexia when I was little.
Hmm.
Um, we didn't know that that's what it was
Sure.
at the time. And so I was held back in first grade to do first grade all over again. And I remember that first teacher that I had, I was sitting in the room. She talked to my parents. She said, he's never going to be able to achieve at the same level as the other kids. And that was kind of what she said about me. My parents moved me to a different teacher that next year to redo first grade again. And this woman, her name was Mrs. McElroy. Amazing woman. She kept me in at lunch and recess every single day, which I hated because I was an athlete. I loved lunch and recess. But she taught me how to read
Wow.
every day. Um, and I didn't understand at the time, like what a sacrifice that is for a teacher to be like, I'm going to spend all of my
Free
free
time.
time, with
Yeah.
this kid. And so, but she taught me how to read, and it's made a huge difference in my
Wow.
life. And when I
Oh.
graduated high school, or when I was in high school, I played football,
Uh-huh.
and her son was a football coach for an opposing team.
Uh-huh.
And so we played that game, and afterwards she came down on the field and, gave me a hug, and it was just a really cool experience. But, she was a person of faith as
Nice.
well. And, I think that's what drove her, but it made a significant difference in my life. I
Nice.
can't even comprehend what my life would be like without that support.
Wow.
So,
That is so cool.
yeah.
I've only had one other person talk about a teacher when I ask that question, which I always am surprised.
Yeah.
The next question, I told you that the majority of my clients these days are salespeople,
Yeah.
and though you're not in sales, you're raising money all the time, and there's
Yes.
some part of that raising money. I wonder if you could talk about either the mindset that you have to have, or sort of a grit determination, or handling
Sure.
objections, or I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
curious what you're about to say. I have no idea, but
Yeah.
what's the framework that you use for raising money? Is there some sort of mindset that what do you love about it? What are you successful at? What do you suck at? What do you hate? I mean, you can talk about anything that you want.
Sure. Oh, yes. Raising money is sales. It is. It's doesn't people don't like to say that, but fundraising is sales.
Maybe
The
that's why people don't like raising money,
Yeah.
is because it makes them feel like, oh, I'm a selling salesman.
The difference is the product that you're selling, somebody else is paying for it. So the
You mean
client,
receiving it, don't you?
yeah, so the client who's receiving the service is different than the person that you are
Selling.
selling to pay for it.
Right.
Whereas most of the time in sales, I'm selling you this chair.
And I get to use the
You're
chair,
going to
but
buy
I
this
have to
chair.
pay for it.
Yeah. In fundraising, I'm selling you this chair so that somebody else can sit in it.
Okay.
So it makes it a bit more complicated, in my opinion. And I came out of the business world too. So
Uh-huh.
I've done sales on multiple sides, but I think other concepts though are exactly the same thing. Like people want to give for a reason.
Uh-huh.
They have a desired outcome in mind, whether that is because they want to leave a legacy, because they are emotionally connected to the work that we do because
Uh-huh.
of experience themselves or
Mm-hmm.
somebody else, or um, they have, and particularly the work we do, they have a passion for children
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to see children succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of the other concepts though still remain the same. Being relational, is a
Yeah.
key component to it. Being honest, uh, and open. Really, um, I think the same challenges of finding the right way. Sorry, the right way to do sales and the right way to do fundraising are exactly the same. Which is identify a solution for that person that they need and provide a service that meets that need.
Mm-hmm.
However, in the work that we do, it's completely discretionary.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to connect with people oftentimes for long periods of time, years and years, with people who are interested in this work, interested in the outcomes, and want to see it. But every year, we raise this our budget this year is $6.8 million.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we're the largest provider of homeless services to families in the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
So
thought you were just Spokane.
we are Spokane County,
You're just
4,126
doing it
people.
bigger than everybody else.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah, we served over 4,000 people last year.
Okay. I'm just for fun. I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
And I have no idea where it's gonna go.
Okay.
And you can balk, and we can edit
Sure.
it out if you want to. But what are you doing that government, let's say California, just for fun,
Sure.
is failing to do when it comes to homeless people? Because you're obviously doing something really right.
Sure.
And if you could talk into the ear of a governor of our state or California,
Yeah.
what would you tell them if you could be bold and say exactly what they need to hear?
Yeah, I would say that you're funding the wrong things.
Oh,
You're looking for the wrong things, and so they are funding outputs rather than outcomes.
Interesting.
So to put it into a business context, right?
Yeah, tell me more.
If government was funding your business the way that they fund homeless services, they would give you money, but only allow you to use that money on your warehouse space. And they would tell you exactly how much you could use, what percentage you could use for administration, but this is only for your warehouse space. In homeless services, that's emergency shelter.
Yeah.
Right? When the real outcome that your business is trying to achieve is selling a product.
Right.
How many products did you sell? Like, I don't care how big your warehouse is.
Right.
How much product did you move?
Right.
In homeless services, they don't think of it that way at all. So they think of buying warehouse space. How many beds do we have? Rather than how many people did we move out of homelessness and how many people did we prevent from entering homelessness?
That's so brilliant.
So that's what we do differently here is our focus is on getting people housed and keeping them housed.
And then getting them out of homelessness into self-sufficiency.
Well, that's what we mean by getting them housed is getting them out of homelessness into housing of their own, and then keeping that housing by moving them to a stable, self-sufficient life.
Man,
that's
I once heard, I was driving my car and I heard the guy that leads the mission. I can't think of his name right now. Phil Altmaier.
Yep, Phil.
And he's got that voice, He says, I'll tell you how to get people off of alcohol and drugs. I was like, whoa, this guy's going to tell the truth. I mean, I really almost wanted to pull over. I remember turning the volume up so that I could hear what he was about to say. And then he said, it's relationships. It's always relationships. These people have no relationships that they can count on. I was like,
yeah.
It was mind-blowing to me. It's like he just solved the whole problem by saying we need to start building relationships with these
Sure.
people that are homeless and alcoholics and drug addicts, you know.
Well, when you get down to it, homelessness is not a loss of housing. It is a loss of relationship
Yeah, I know. It's
because
insane.
you don't have anybody else you could lean on.
Exactly.
So you end up on the streets, whether that's because you did bad things
Well,
or
you did.
bad things were done to you.
Yeah, but here's the
or
thing.
circumstance, you just don't have those relationships.
I can count on all my hands and toes and fingers how many houses I could go to if I totally if I totally screwed the pooch and was really mean to my wife and told my dog and I kicked the dog and I yelled at my son and she said, "You're out." I mean, there are so many places I could sleep, because of family and friends. I mean, it wouldn't last forever, but I could always go to my mom. My mom's house would be always available. I got 4 brothers and sisters, unless I'm shooting up. But that's the problem, right? I mean, it's we lose relationship because of the habits that
but often, I mean, we see it. I deal with kids, right?
Who didn't do anything.
Who have no choice in their experience,
right?
No choice to be homeless or not. They don't choose it. They're not on substances, for the most part. They're not doing that. And so, last year we had 2,500 kids, over 2,500 kids through our services. And so, however, those kids, this is the other part that I would tell government is, if you truly want to stop homelessness, you can't start at the end. You can't start downtown Spokane. That's where homelessness ends. Where it starts is when those people were in first grade or third grade, or even when they were born. We had 25 newborns last year in the shelter. It's, if a child experiences homelessness, they are 46.9 times more likely to be homeless as an adult.
Wow. That's amazing.
So really what we see downtown here or in Seattle or whatever is not, it is what we didn't do as a community for kids 10 and 15 years ago.
Wow.
And so if we don't want to see that 10 and 15 years from now, it has to happen. We have to be focused on this future generation, not just on who's downtown right now, because the next wave is coming.
Right.
And it's constantly coming unless you intervene earlier and get further upstream.
Yeah.
So, but relationships is a key.
Yeah. Okay. So let's assume that there are people watching this video. I doubt the homeless are watching it, but maybe there's someone out there that's got a pocket full of money.
Sure.
Go ahead and make a pitch for, giving to your nonprofit, and then add the contact information, and we'll end with that, unless you want to tell another story that you hadn't thought of.
I mean, there's lots of stuff that I think would connect with your audience with this. One of the life lessons would be learning to fail forward fast. And I'll share that, and then I'll share a little bit about the organization.
Okay.
But one of the things that when I was early on, I was an early .comer, 1998, starting internet company out of our apartment in college. And I was really focused on like building the best fully complete product. And so we spent, months and months and months and thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. And we built an amazing product.
What was it?
It was the first online limousine reservation service.
Nice.
We knew nothing about the industry, which was also another big problem. But we had built, you could manage your cars, you could do all kinds of stuff through it. Really cool. People didn't want that.
Yeah.
That's not what they needed. They needed something very simple to make reservations on.
Yeah.
That was what they needed.
Right.
And so we wasted tons of money, tons of time. Also, we're in an industry that we didn't understand. So it was a major disaster. It didn't work out. But I think the lesson that was learned in that experience was uh, design something that can fail forward fast.
Yeah.
Build something simple that somebody wants to buy. Make sure that somebody wants to buy it first, and then build it,
Yeah.
and then have the ability to make adjustments
Yes.
and do those quickly and fast. And so this is something that I brought into the work that we do, because our environment changes all the time.
Right.
Government funding right now, I mean, federal funding is just wild right now.
Uh-huh.
Policies and regulations are always changing. A big donor that gave last year doesn't give this year.
Right.
And so we have to adjust and shift all the time. And so we've built an organization that adapts literally weekly.
Wow.
So we have issues list that anybody could put anything on the issues list. Every week we go through, we vote on those issues. We try to solve the top 3 on that, and we make adjustments every week. So rather than building the one perfect product and then hoping somebody buys it, we're finding out what's needed, and then we make small adjustments. But those small adjustments every week means that you've reiterated your organization 52 times this year.
Right.
And we do that every year. So by the time, we're 2 or 3 years on, the difference between us and others is dramatically different because we've been making small adjustments throughout the course rather than waiting for one big decision or change. And so I think that's one thing that we do. I would throw that out there for your business audience is, yeah, sell it before it's built and then build it to something that people actually need.
Yeah.
And so for us in our context, our families, they need, first of all, a safe place to be
Uh-huh.
while they're figuring things out. And then they need help figuring things out,
Uh-huh.
getting into housing, and then keeping that housing.
Huh.
And so those are the 4 things that we provide for our families. For those that are interested in supporting or want to find out more, it's what is the impact that you want to have in your community? What's the difference that you want to make and see? Do you want a future where there's massive amounts of homelessness? Or do you want to see a future where everybody's thriving and all families thrive? That's the vision that we have for it. And so if there's alignment, that's what I would say to your audience. If there's alignment with that, if you want to see a future where all families thrive and where our communities thrive, we're the place to come and find out more about.
Yeah.
If you have other goals, and there's all kinds of different goals in philanthropy, great. We'd love to talk to you about those. And I've done it before where I've said, hey, why don't you go and support this other organization? They're a better fit for you.
Yeah.
In what you want and the outcome. And so I do believe there's enough resource to solve these problems to where we don't have to fight over it. I want to see, what God's leading you to align with the work that we do? And if it does, perfect.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, let's find the spot where God's leading you and let's point you in that direction.
Nice. I'm going to ask you one more question, even though we're pretty much out of time.
Sure.
I feel like there's a divide in homeless, how to solve homelessness.
Sure.
And there's the sort of bleeding heart side, which is, let's just take care of them, which let's teach them to fish side is looking at the bleeding heart side saying, you're just gonna enable them. How do you cross that divide? How do you get the bleeding hearts to see this other point of view? And how do you get this sort of, you got to teach them to fish, embrace the fact that sometimes people just need a cup of water? You know what I mean? Am I...
Yeah, no, we see this all the time. We see big pendulum swings too in, what you're focused on. Are you focused on, getting people right now? The big divide is housing versus treatment first. or housing first versus housing ready. And what that means is, do you put people into housing and then work on all the other issues? Or do you work on substance abuse issues, treatment issues now,
Mm.
so that then they can qualify for housing?
Uh-huh.
Um, and that's the big debate in our country right now.
Yeah.
Literally, HUD is shifting completely different under the Trump administration than it had been for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
So very, very different. I think for me, because I'm in this work, homelessness is an intersection between at least 11 different systems. There is the housing system, which is the biggest driver of homelessness, is as housing costs and rapid changes in housing costs. Then there's government that interplays and intersects with homelessness. Then there's education that intersects with homelessness. There is business that intersects. There's healthcare. There's mental health. There's substance abuse treatment. There is parks and recreations. There is business. And on and on and on. All of these are intersections. And I think one of the dangers that we take is we say, oh, that one intersection is the solution. So let's focus on that one thing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And then we won't provide other services other than that one thing.
Right.
And then also looking to government to solve this. Government does a couple of things. They make laws and then they enforce laws. And they can fund some services. They can do that, and they do that. But their main function is making laws and enforcing laws. So if you're looking to government, their solutions are pretty limited in what they could actually solve. Because theirs has to revolve around those two things.
So do you, in your view, is the church, the hope of homelessness? Is that your stated point of view?
I think the church,
or philanthropy in general, or
I think it takes a whole community. But if the church was living out what we see in Scripture, and really in a dramatic way, sometimes dangerous way, the Bible talks about bringing the homeless into your home.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Isaiah. I'm not making that up. That's in there. If the church lived out its mission completely, and when I say church, I'm talking about the people, not the buildings. I do believe homelessness wouldn't be an issue. And we see that in our own community right now. I never have any Slavic people in the shelter. No Russians, no Ukrainians, ever.
And they take care of their own.
Yeah, there's 13,000 in our community. And I was talking to one of the pastors, and I said, why don't I ever see any of your people in our shelter? And he said, because we wouldn't allow that to happen.
Wow.
He said, somebody loses their job today. I call somebody else in the church that owns a construction company. They're on that job site that same day.
Yeah.
And he said, we just wouldn't let it happen.
That's amazing.
And so that's possible. We don't really see that as our responsibility as believers in most congregations, but there's definitely some of these minority congregations that do that and do it well, even right here.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Joe Ader.
Yes.
I said it right.
There you go.
I was going to say Adder, and then I said, no, that's not Adder.
Perfect. At least you didn't add an L. People always say Adler.
Adler, yeah.
Which is, they're adding letters then. So.
All right. Coaching the Redline is my business. I do coaching and spiritual direction, especially with salespeople and clergy. Love it if you'd put the like button and subscribe to the channel. How can someone give to your organization? And if someone's homeless and they see this and they're like, dude, I need help, how do they find you?
Yeah, so you can find us online at familypromiseofspokane.org.
Okay.
Or you can call our main number, So just look for Family Promise of Spokane. Our main number is 509-747-5487.
Okay.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay. Who's someone that you would want to call about giving, and when's your next fundraiser? Or
Sure. Uh, yeah. So we would love to hear from you if you're interested in giving, being a part of this. What I would say is come down for a visit.
okay.
Come and take a look. Give us a call. We would love to schedule a visit with you, see if this is what God is calling you to and is the right fit. And you can do that by calling that same number, and we'll get you set up. Our next fundraiser, it's not really a fundraiser. We have a fun run coming up
Oh, nice.
in August, where we run around down Riverfront Park. And it's more fun than run. So if you're a runner, this is more like bring your kids and there's a stop every, quarter mile to do a fun activity.
Oh, fun.
So yeah, for runners out there, I just don't want you to be like, oh, I'm doing a 5K in the fastest time. This one is more the fun part. There's all kinds of activities for kids and different stops around downtown, around the riverfront. That'll be really cool. And then in October, we have our big Ungala, which is a really fun event. Most people say it's one of the most fun things that they do each year.
Oh, nice.
And that's a fundraiser for us.
Cool. Cool. Well, Joe, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah,
It's been
thanks for
fun
having me.
talking to you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all.